If your brother wasn't killed, it'd been easier than hanging.
Heath, are you all right? He's got a lump in his head, but I don't think it's serious.
Jared, they say I shot Parker.
I know.
I might have killed him with my bare hands, but not with a gun.
2 eyewitnesses saw him shoot Parker. 3 more saw him come in the barn, and maybe a dozen others heard him make threats. And the barrel of his gun was still warm when I got here.
Heath, tell me what happened.
I walked into the barn. I saw Parker and that other friend of his.
Go ahead.
That's all I remember.
Try, Heath. You've got to try.
That's all I remember, Jared.
Jared, I'm sick about this, but I'm gonna have to hold Heath.
He's got a bump on his head. It's a wonder he can remember anything.
2 eyewitnesses saw him shoot him.
Said they saw him.
I'm not a lawyer, Jared. I'm not gonna argue with you. But this is something a jury will have to decide.
Saves 100 lives. When he dies, 3 people. Private Charlie Whitehorse. Killed in action by a barroom dandy and a second-rate traveling dentist.
Oh, my little water. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That motor's got to come out. But don't you worry, me. Old Doc knows what he's doing. Yes, sir. You sure are a pretty little girl. If I was just about 40 years younger, man, I'd give them boys a terrible time. Hold that, me. Yes, sir. Don't you worry at all. Now, you take a big swig out of that. Big one. Ain't gonna hurt you. You feel better, don't you, huh? Afternoon, Jared.
Afternoon, Doc. Don't let me interrupt. Just go right on with whatever you're doing.
Anything particular you wanted?
No. Just taking a walk, Doc. I think a lot better when I walk.
I hear they got a date set for the trial.
A week from Wednesday. Judge Lansbury.
What a mess. What a terrible mess. I didn't want Heath to go in that barn. You know that. I tried to stop him. But he was insane. You should have seen him act like some primordial creature. The bartender and myself, we couldn't hold him. We couldn't do nothing with him.
You hit that stuff pretty hard, don't you, Doc?
You think I enjoy this? You thinking I'm going to derive some particular pleasure out of testifying against your brother?
That little stunt that killed Charlie, Doc. People say that was your idea.
God forgive me. I never thought he'd do it.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much. Man's liable to think up all kinds of crazy things when he's had too much to drink.
You'd like to make a fool out of me, wouldn't you? You'd like to get me up on that stand and say old Doc Tully was drunk, that this whole thing's a figment of his imagination. But it isn't. It happened. I saw him. He was insane. He shot Parker down like a dog.
Where were you when the shots were fired?
Well, I was over there by the door.
Why'd you come in here? Why'd you go back in the barn with Doc Tully?
I come to get some help.
You must be some kind of a clairvoyant.
What's that?
You came for help before the shots were fired? Obviously, you knew something was going to happen.
Well, I didn't figure they were sitting down to a game of cards.
Did you see Parker go in the barn?
No.
Then how'd you know he was in there?
He guessed. The same as your brother.
Mr. Vanderveer, what a coincidence. I was just reading your statement over at the sheriff's office.
Did you like it?
Fascinating. I didn't believe a word of it.
The sheriff does, and the jury will.
What surprised me the most was that part about your being a land speculator.
Well, that shouldn't surprise a smart fella like you.
I don't remember ever seeing any deeds registered under the name of Vanderveer.
Atlas. That's the name on the deed. We were partners. Until your brother shot him down like a dog.
You and Doc Tully keep using that same phrase. Shot him down like a dog.
It's an adequate description.
Funny you both should come up with the same one.
Not as funny as that story your brother came up with. I'll bet he'll swear he doesn't remember a thing. Right up to the day they hang him.
We brought you some dinner.
No, thanks. I'm not hungry.
Oh, we saw Heath.
Yeah, he finally found out what was wrong with old Sheriff Madden's stomach. It's his wife's cooking. Hey, we got a letter from Audra. Rained the whole time she was in Rome. She got 3 proposals the first day she was there, though. One from a bona fide duke. How do you like that?
Jared, do you think it's fair not telling Audra about this?
What good would that do? And, Mother, will you stop fussing around with that?
Well, you have
Look,
to have
I
something.
said I'm not hungry.
Oh, you better come on home and get yourself some rest. You're going to be all burnt out by the time that trial starts.
You take care of you, Nick. I'll take care of me.
Is it really that bad?
Bad. There's a mild word for it. I've got to go into court to defend my own brother's life. And for the first time since I've been practicing law, I know I haven't got a leg to stand on.
Well, maybe Heath's memory will come back.
Even if it does, even if he screams his innocence to the heavens above, 2 eyewitnesses are going to stand up in court and swear that they saw him shoot Parker Atlas down like a dog.
Parker Atlas wasn't worth his salt.
That may be, but he was the son of one of the most respected ranchers in this valley, and don't think that won't count with the jury. 2 eyewitnesses. A dozen others who'll swear they heard Heath make threats on Parker's life. Come in. And you want to talk about motive? There isn't a man, woman, or child in Stockton who didn't know how Heath felt about Charlie Whitehorse.
Jared, I'm sorry. I saw a light here. I didn't know you had company.
That's all right, Nat. Come on in. Nathan Springer, this is my mother.
How do you do, ma'am?
My brother, Nick.
Howdy. How do you do, Nick?
What are you doing here, Nat? I thought you went back to San Francisco.
My wife threw me out of the house. She literally threw me out of the house. She said, Nat, you haven't had a vacation in 6 years. If you don't get some rest, you're going to drop dead from a heart attack. That's all I had to hear, so I grabbed my bag, came back to Stockton, found the softest bed at the hotel, and there I intend to sleep for 2 solid weeks.
Well, I hope you come out of hibernation long enough to have dinner with us.
It would be a pleasure, ma'am. Oh, by the way, Jared, I've got some news for you. The news out of San Francisco is Danny Manis is going to prosecute your brother.
Who?
Daniel Manis. He's, what you might call in polite company, a political opportunist.
Do you know him, Jared?
He wants to be governor, ma'am. You get to be governor by prosecuting cases that give you publicity.
Is he any good?
Well, let's put it this way, Nick. He hasn't lost a case in 5 years. Oh, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. You'll be up against the best. Well, I guess I'll run along. Pleasure meeting you, ma'am. Nick, pleasure meeting you. Same. Jared, if you need any help, just holler.
Just a little vacation, huh?
May we proceed with the selection of the jurors, Mr. Manis?
You're Mrs. Bacon, aren't you? Mrs. Florence Bacon.
Yes, sir.
And now, Mrs. Bacon, are you acquainted with the accused?
Well, I know who he is.
Have you formed any opinion concerning his character?
Well, he always seemed to be a real nice young man.
Mrs. Bacon, are you aware that nice young men are capable of savage and lawless acts? They're capable, shall we say, of murdering other nice young men in fits of brutal rage.
That's a totally inflammatory remark.
It was not a remark, Mr. Barclay. It was a question.
Your Honor, I must...
If I follow Mr. Manis correctly, I think he wants to know if this lady is capable of rational judgment. which is well within the limits of proper inquiry.
Now, how long have you lived in Stockton, Mr. Elger?
Most of my life.
Now, Mr. Elger, do you think you'd be able to make an unbiased judgment concerning the defendant?
Sure.
That's an out-and-out lie, Mr. Elger. You were fired from our ranch, so how could you possibly have an unbiased opinion?
Your Honor, I will not tolerate this anymore. He'll have his chance. If he feels this juror is prejudiced, he may challenge him for cause.
Mr. Barkley, I think you've been practicing long enough to know the basic rules of procedure.
I have no more questions, Your Honor. I'm quite satisfied with this juror.
Easy, Jared. Easy, boy. You can lose this case before you even get started.
This juror is acceptable to the prosecution, Your Honor.
You're smiling, Mr. Hartzell. Is there something about these proceedings that amuses you? Very well, then. Let me ask you this. One of the prosecution's star witnesses in this case is a known drunk.
Objection!
Would you be willing to take the word of a drunk in a case that carries the possible penalty of death?
What kind of an omniscient being do you think you are? Apparently, he knows what I'm going to do before I do it. He knows who my witnesses are, and he knows their bad habits. And he's impeaching them before they even get to the stand.
Now, wait a minute. Everyone in town knows you're going to use Doc Tully.
Silence.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Before he was bawling Jared out because he busted in, now he's doing the same thing.
Order. Any more of that, and I'll try this case before an empty courtroom. Sit down, sir. Gentlemen, I think we had better adjourn until tomorrow morning. Come in. Oh, Victoria.